Hey everyone, the Villains Man bringing you session 19 of the ancient war Reborn. I'm your DM JVD.
I'm Evan the Great, playing the Elven Bard, the Luda. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Would you say Elder String?
Yeah, I almost said Elder String. Silver String. Maybe I'm still drunk from last night. Anyway, yeah.
I'm the Bearded Wonder with the Villains Man. I'm playing Vesper North, the rogue moon elf.
Paranoid.
Paranoid, yeah.
I am Smiley, playing Ulrich Whitehammer, tutor of Snurk the Goblin.
Oh, and still conspicuous by his absence as blissfully as Roland Ivor. Vesper, give us the recap, since that whole first part of this session was all you.
We talked. Last session, the characters discussed whether they could trust Leosin or not, because Vesper feels like maybe he's not on the up and up. But she's not ready to make any big moves yet. She didn't want to accuse him yet, but things just aren't adding up in her head.
Can I just say that was a very out of the blue discussion. We just got through fighting like these raven-bound fucking barbarians and shit.
Well, it is the next day, so.
I just like, that was completely out of like, cut off the fight, lay down, we'll go on. The fuck with Leosin?
Well, the way I looked at it was Vesper just trying to find the right time to bring it up. And there just doesn't seem to be a right time right now. We're so busy and everything.
I was afraid that you were bored and like, I'm fucking this talk. I ain't
My mind is so fucking twisted anyway right now. Like, we might as well do it now. She's like, there's fucking dragons, there's giants, there's this, there's that.
Right.
And he sent me out here.
I was wanting to speak to Stephanie about her teaching me how to steer and pilot the ship. I didn't get a chance to.
You got a couple of days. So before we speed things up here, you already brought up something. So you're wanting to learn how to steer the ship for it. It's not nothing hard. As she tells you, she takes a graceful bow. She's like, "The ship is yours to command. And if you want her to teach you, she will be more than happy to teach you."
I just figured with the extra hands on the board now, there's about 6 of us. We could shorten the shifts and make things a bit easier for everybody.
Okay. Well, this is the 28th of we're not there yet, but we're speeding up to the 28th of Uktar. But during that time, you've been on a ship. You told me you came to Baldur's Gate on a ship, and you realize it's not much different here.
Yeah.
It's just that instead of being in water, you're in the air.
Yeah.
And then you have a volatile fire elemental.
You know the fact he's in the air.
So,
But like the firmness of the wood is a lot more comforting than the softness of a cloud.
I was about to ask you about that. So.
I've considered it.
But yes, it's not hard for you to learn the ship. Like I said, I remember you told me, you'd learn how to do rigging and stuff like that, and it's very much the same thing.
Yeah.
So, Roland, still paranoid throughout this time.
If I keep seeing him on deck, I'm just going to start yelling at him to do this and that to help out.
Do you continue to eat rations when they're passed out?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on whether or not. I would say every other day I would, because if I just get hungry, I'll just eat my own. If I'm not hungry when they get to me, I'm like,
Boom! 20.
Hey! Does that make up for all the other failures?
Probably not, but that's the only way I'm going to do is roll 20 on that. I mentioned I'm a
20
paladin.
total?
10 constitution and 0.
I would say I'll be
49 hit
every
points.
other time.
Well, I don't think me or Boosty made that.
Alright, I need your complete scores here.
I got
Okay.
6.
Okay, what's the work boost you got?
She got 7.
Luda?
20.
Ord?
20 total. Not natural.
We are all constipated.
What about you, Luda, Vesper, Roosty? Do you learn to do anything with the ship, much like Ord is doing? Or
Yeah.
I would urge everyone to, just so we wouldn't be just sitting around doing nothing.
that, and if something happens,
What interests me the
Yeah.
most is how
Because
they're
if it
able.
only takes 4 people to run the ship, and there's 6 of us, if shit hits the fan, doesn't end up very well. Worst case scenarios, we can still pilot the
Yeah,
ship.
me or Boosty will figure out how to
We don't have the best track
learn
record
how to do the
for
rigging.
random NPCs, being the 7 other guys,
yeah.
to bring back up the caravan. The ones that we don't talk to very much usually disappear after a while.
Well, also you learning you can give these people also extra rest as well. I mean,
So instead of doing 12s, they're doing 8s.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
That's just what I was
So what about you, Luda? You're
Steering,
learning.
rigging. How do they keep that thing in there?
I'm going to assume by now that knowing Ward and his thing for invention, probably like cast to detect magic by now, and you can tell that this thing's magical, so it contains the thing. It works just honestly like a regular hot air balloon for the most part. You know,
somebody's
Fire
gotta be
heats
over
up the
there.
air.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So how do they keep the air about how do they keep it to doing what it's doing?
It's magically trapped.
It's magically trapped there.
Oh, okay.
Just like you'll see that the air elemental is magically trapped in the balloon above you.
Yeah.
And like you had just said, how did it work?
The fire heats up the air, which creates lift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you said something about there's somebody that's gonna watch this?
There is a guy that keeps an eye on it.
Controls the amount of heat.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, you still have to let so much
Like a
heat
valve.
out at a time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're not careful, which is explained to you guys, you can let this thing out and fire elemental.
It's
wood.
be a bit pissed.
Yeah, it's gonna be
I'm
a little
gonna
angry
learn-
because you
Yeah.
noticed that it was angry when you looked inside of it, or
So I'm gonna learn about that, how to control that, what to do if he thinks we can get out, all that good stuff.
what about Snurk?
Start stays with me. He's like my first mate.
It's gonna be your navigator.
Yeah, that'll work.
There we go, navigator. Because someone's got to drive.
I would
some
like to
navigators.
think, like after the months of being with Snurt, he's a bit book smart. At least
He's
smarter
becoming
than I
smart.
So how does Snurt feel about us? Has he like come to see us as friends?
Being in servitude to hill giants, you've treated him a lot better.
Like we give him food?
Yeah. He actually feels like he's a person.
I like to think like
That's how we treat him then.
Yeah.
once he gets so smart, I'll start slapping magic in on the side. Just like small things like cantrips, like prestidigitations to make his life a little bit easier.
Yeah. Well, like you, just by taking him, you made his life easier.
Yeah.
I mean, where was he when you found him?
Inside a jelly roll.
Exactly. I mean, he smelled.
That definitely smelled.
Like if you give if you're up somebody with a Hitler, that's what he would smell like. You
He
know?
probably still smells. I bet Snurt still smells.
No, dude, that was months ago.
It probably took a
No,
long time.
prestidigitation.
Yeah,
It
clean,
poops
clean,
it all
okay.
So, but in time, you guys can all even rotate doing all these jobs, like the whole thing you want. But Vesper, is there anything else you're going to bring up?
Well, there was that.
Anybody else before we continue on?
Yeah, I mean, shit, while we're bringing all the old friends up, we ever bring up anything else, and I'm talking about Varys.
Varys.
What's he talking about?
He's an asshole, but
I know, but like,
He's
towards
a
the
bad
end, I
asshole.
always said I want to run into him again.
I don't know if
We're running across the world. I wonder if his deed was done.
Well, I'm talking about paranoid things.
I know.
You know.
I mean, he's an asshole. But I don't think he ever did anything to us.
Oh no.
Justin knows I always bring him
Oh,
up
no.
because I feel like he knows. Like, what?
But have you told
He's
him?
a powerful,
no.
in my mind, he's a powerful ally.
Oh, no one
If
brought
he
it
to
up.
fight Nielsen.
Okay. See, so we don't know that he gave you that.
Like you'll see me like flip through the book a lot
Yeah, but I don't
because it
think
is
that-
my spell book.
Yeah.
But
All right. Continuing on.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the 28th of Uktar. You learning the rigging is actually a good thing because you're heading to a storm. It's kind of odd you brought this
I
up.
was walking this
So,
I
it's-
thought and then I'm just.
but the thing is, I'm not going to require any checks because now that there's basically double the crew, everybody knows everything now. Makes going through the storm a bit better.
Do we have our air legs yet?
Oh yeah. This is your sixth day of the ship.
Okay.
And we've only had to do 3 Constitution saves.
And I
It's
failed
so
every one
tight.
of them.
At this time, you find yourself over a massive swamp area. If you know anything about literally Froome, this is the Evermoors. Very prominent in the Dritz books. They're known for trolls and the great town of Destiny that always
Every swamp, if everyone's famous for
trolls,
trolls.
I'm telling you. But this is the famous one. This is the most famous one.
I wonder where that troll in the what book was I think Wolfgar was dead at the time. The water crow that jumped that was on a pirate ship.
What are they called?
Drags.
Yeah.
Drags.
Well, I wonder what
Oh,
swamp he
crabs.
brought out of.
So, anyways, like I said, off in the distance, that you're flying through a storm, and even the size of the storm, the spread of it, definitely thinks that you can't get around it. So you might as well just try to head into it and fly through it. But like I
If
said,
we're serious, he would have kind of accidentally on purpose steered towards it.
well, whatever. there.
He has a thing for storms.
But it's a very fast approaching storm. I mean, like, you can already feel the air way before it even gets here, pushing the ship around. Like I said, it's a good thing that you brought up learning everything, Ward, because you're going to need it. But now I'm not going to make you guys roll anything. Everybody roll perception visually.
Damn it. That's not bad. I don't have a penalty anymore, so that's just a 12. I got a roll 12 and 18.
Okay.
20.
What's I forgot to mark that onto my actual character sheet?
Lucas sees it.
That is 27 for me, and
You see it?
you got a 20.
Okay. I'm not going to say Roland sees it that he's not here because he's so paranoid about everything going on. I can't see him loosening up this early into this trip. But Roland, roll me a perception hearing. Not Roland, Ori.
Let me
I
say,
can't remember so much.
man, where's rolling in?
Yeah. Perception hearing. Roll one. Okay. You hear thunder.
And I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, and the wind. Go.
You can see Or is having uncommon delight in the storm right now. He's too distracted.
But as for you through that sea, off in the distance, you see something that looks massive with an extremely large wingspan in the middle of this storm, flying directly in your direction.
Nope.
Is it cloth?
I don't know, but
Is it red?
I would think, it's in the storm.
I'm not saying
It's
that
kinda
that's
hard
what
to
they see
tell,
this.
But, I mean, you would think from its distance and its size, being in the storm, Vesper, I would think that you would think, wow, the last time I seen something like this coming from the horizon is a dragon.
Yeah.
And it's in your way.
And like Or doesn't see this, turns right the fuck at to it.
Now, we rolled above 20. I know Vesper did for sure.
I work mine too.
Okay, you two also notice that there is a rider on this dragon. And from the
Is this
distance,
Orange?
from the
Is this
distance that
Roland's
you
friend?
no, from the distance you're at, and just how big this thing's look, and it's all far off the distance, you think it's insane that you can actually see the rider from this far away.
No, it's a giant, gotcha.
It's a huge rider.
So let's say, is this Roland's little friend?
Can we, I'll go ahead and holler for Delphine.
Yeah.
That she's the captain.
You point, and her eyes get really wide, even though you can't make out what it is due to the
Right.
shadows of the clouds. You're trying to make it out every time you see a flash of lightning, but I mean, it's just a flash of lightning. It's instant. It's too quick to really catch anything. But I mean, you can tell it's picking up speed through this heavy wind as it's coming your way.
I'm gonna tell her she's the captain, so what should we do?
She said, "Someone mount the ballista."
Oh. I get on the ballista.
I'm on the wheel.
Oh,
I get on the ballista. Unless you want to get on the ballista or have Lucy get on
no, you can get on the ballista and,
Now, I want you to remember, you need to read those when you mount the ballista, because it takes you three rounds
Oh,
just
yeah.
to fire it.
Roland should probably get on there with you, and then me and Arbustia will get our bow.
Or do you want us to have Roland do it, is what I'm saying here?
Roland.
Anyone can roll that D20 for like anyone.
You want,
Yeah.
yeah, let's just put Roland
And
there.
I'll just roll.
Okay, so you're gonna have rolling fire.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Even though that to me, that's not his character. He's not a guy that would mount a ballista.
Oh.
Think about it, and in your first fight, he didn't mount the ballista.
No.
So, but guess what? He's not here, so he's gonna mount the
Yeah, fuck you, Wesley.
ballista. So he's gonna mount the ballista. Is anybody gonna assist him? Because the more people we got to load it and aim it, I mean, you fire quicker.
Arbustia can help him,
Okay.
and then I will.
So, I mean, in one round, when firing, you'll be able to load it and aim it, so it cuts her down by a round for each person.
But do we know we should fire it?
No, she just said mount it.
Okay.
I mean, this thing's coming at you pretty fast.
What? What's all the? What's the boat?
Be like that.
And you
Don't think so.
yeah, he's going up one
I'm
good
very
eye.
loud.
No, there's something coming.
There's an eye on the Zerathars that gives me my eye back.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
Well,
it's just a fake eye on your head. You can see how.
It's like Harry Potter where the professor has his hand.
so,
Mad Eye movie.
you see it, and it's something large with a large
It'd be funnier if I
rider.
didn't.
Actually, well, you'd have to let go of the wheel to see it because you've got the big canister your way too. So no, you probably see the canister because you're I think you're up
You're higher
on top.
up,
Yeah, but you see it coming fast and it's large.
I don't say anything, start going.
You're turning away from it. You're gonna yell, you know, turn to port or whatever, start turning the ship.
Because evidently you don't have cannons on the port sides.
It's not tie your stuff down.
So are you completely turning the ship around, or are you just trying to head off towards? You're heading kind of southeast right
I'll
now.
turn more towards the south or the east.
Okay.
So
Can we make
south.
groundfall? Do we make groundfall?
Well, you're over the moor. You're over. I mean,
We have no place to land.
you can. I'm not stopping you. It's your decision.
Is there a quick landing spot?
We could lower it down in case we do start to be ripped apart. We could be more close to the ground so the fall won't be as bad.
We should go down.
Not landing, but just like
Just so that way we don't
coasting down a bit so we won't be in as much of a dangerous
Crash.
situation.
So is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to try to land, so you're a
No,
lessen.
not land, just lower.
Lower.
Into a lower altitude.
So that way if we get,
So the drop won't be as severe.
Okay, so less heat. No, not as much heat. Let yourself fall some. Who's watching out for this thing?
I guess,
Yeah, me.
me,
I was going Vesper has the eyes of a fucking eagle over here.
Okay, Vesper, you guys are keeping a good eye on it. As you slowly start to descend, this thing starts to descend.
okay, so we know it's after us, but we don't know if it's gonna.
So we
attack
know it
or
wants to
land.
talk.
Yes, just much like the Black Raven tribe, that it wants to talk.
I wish I had thought of it. It's like, yo man, what up?
Roll me an insight, everybody.
What do I do? I got like 9. My dice was shit today.
I need to see 15 or higher here. Screw that dice, it'll be alright.
That's my gun die.
I got a 10.
What about Rustier?
She got worse.
Okay. Vesper, Luda, Rustier, you guys keep an eye on this thing, or you notice like it's ascending with your descent. But it's almost like it's keeping pace with you guys. So you see this thing's wings kind of curl
So
up
it's
and
like
look
it's
up
not
like it's
trying to
catching.
overtake it?
Well, you just see it's matching your descent.
Okay.
The wind really starts to pick up as this thing gets closer to you.
I'm gonna yell down to Stephanie and ask if she wants us to land.
It's your ship.
Well, what's the best course here? You're the one that flies this.
She tells you she much rather not land in a moor full of trolls.
Right, but it'd be better.
But a
if
sky
you
full of
think we
dragons and giants. If you said that,
She tells you she feels she could talk to a dragon.
Okay.
I don't know that. I don't know how to talk to it.
Okay, well, let's do this.
No offense.
Okay, so you're not gonna lower?
I mean,
We're not
lower,
hitting the ground. We're just lowering in case bad things happen.
Just in case we start crashing.
Plus,
then
we'll
we
help
don't
with
take
the
that
storm.
bad. Maybe we can glide or something.
Okay, yeah, that way maybe you can have a controlled
Yeah.
landing if something bad happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, winds are not as strong below where you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
It's funny you should bring that up because they are.
No, okay.
Storm giant.
I would not have said that because that's what I was kind of ranking you guys probably the insights for. But when you said it, I'm like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and let it go. But I'll say, or do you realize this? You think of that, maybe the winds won't be so strong. And as you're descending, you realize, wow, the winds are picking up the lower we get. It seems like the storm is moving with this thing. As I said, the storm is picking up. Or you notice the wind gets strong even though you're descending. The lightning just starts rapidly firing. Everybody roll me a perception sight. You do not take disadvantage this time. You're watching this thing. You've realized stuff.
9.
I need a 10 at least, guys.
Okay, well, I got a nat 20 on the die.
Okay, you were Vusier.
I did.
The nice chill at the range instituted everybody.
Or Boosty got an 11.
Okay, at least need a 10. Luda,
15.
you notice
We'll use that one.
this looks like a enormous eagle, and for all you can tell, there's a giant riding on top of it. As it gets closer to you, when you think you see this, the lightning flashes and it disappears. Lightning strikes your ship, and before you, stands a giant. And you feel the whole ship list as it
Please be
stands.
Horsnag. Please be Horsnag.
This giant has sea green hair and its skin is a very light shade of purple.
No, it's a stone giant.
His beard looks like it's made of seaweed, and he's right beside you, Ward. And you feel the ships just start to lean backwards under its weight, and quickly it jerks forward as he shrinks down to about 9
I
foot.
just very guys be like, oh, welcome to the ship. What can I do for?
You're looking at him, and he's staring down at you, and he holds his arm out, and lightning strikes it, and looks like an eagle's on his arm.
I am so jealous.
And he says, you see him kind of,
way.
he takes a big deep breath as he says, he says, this ship reeks of dragon.
I agree with you 1,000%.
And he looks down at you. Are you the captain?
I think technically she is up and down does that thing. She said the ship is ours, but
She looks and she's just in awe of this person. I mean, from the distance, you've seen this guy look like he was 20 foot, and he has literally shrunk to half his size.
And the eagle shrunk too.
Yeah, and it's on his arm. It is now smaller than E. And he looks at her, and she's just kind of like taking a couple steps back, like she doesn't know what to do.
I will be willing to answer any questions you have.
And he looks at you. Who are you, bearded folk?
It's funny because like you said, like I have the cloud hilt rune on my armor and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And what is what happened? Nice to meet you.
And he asks you, where did you get this rune?
They're part of the All Father. I made a promise to a cloud giant after his father has slain him. Perhaps we're going there now to settle the debt.
Tells you a giant making promises to a dwarf making promises to giant.
Why not?
Such a strange thing between us ancient enemies.
What? I don't have anything against him myself.
Roll me an insight.
20.
You realize that he's really messing with you. You could tell he's just kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, jostling your feathers a little. You can tell there's a little wiry smile on his face. You, being a dwarf, do know that, you know, storm giants are usually the friendliest of giants for the most part.
Or the most horrible of
Yes.
friends. But if that was the case, we'd already be dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
The ship would not be on the west coast.
And he tells you to name this cloud giant.
Eragon was the one that I promised. His father's name was.
He said,
Balgothkis was his father.
he doesn't know who this is. He looks at you confused as he doesn't know who you're talking about. And he says, are you bound by honor to do this?
Absolutely, that's why we're going. That's why we took the ship, to be honest.
He kind of looks to the rest of you guys. You're like nodding your head. And he asks your name, dwarf.
Orid Waitama.
And tells you I am Jofnar.
Jofnar.
He said I too am bound by honor on a mission. And he kind of looks at the rest of you guys.
I don't suppose you've met the Horsnag, have you?
He says I know of no Harshnag.
When we parted ways, he was going to the Hecaton's court.
Hecaton
Aye,
says, does he know of the king's disappearance?
that's what sent him there. The All Father told him was his place to find him.
Says, such is a mission that I am on. Hecaton's been gone for months now, ever since the organ broke.
Yes, that's what we had discovered.
Says, so do you look for Hecaton too?
We will help
Horsnag told us
try
our ways
and-
were apart when he left.
He asks, who is this Harshnag?
Frost giant fellow. I'd like to call him a friend.
He said, you're quite the curious dwarf, bound to honor by a cloud giant, friend of frost giant, speaking to storm giant. He said, how do you think your kinfolk would view you? And he smiles.
Or less. We never got along, to be honest.
He just
I do like a little thing, make a little poof of fire in my hand.
He says, to be bound by such good giants, he says, why do you reek of red worm?
Apparently he owns the ship.
We needed a way to get to where the cloud giant was. They offered.
And we've also been chasing the cult of the dragon. But this dragon apparently doesn't want the cult to get power either.
And he says, interesting. Do you not think the dragon lies to you?
Oh, I absolutely believe that.
We don't know.
She wanted on the ship.
When he says this, Delsphine, she speaks up and she says, cloth tells no lies. And he yells at her, silence! And it's just lightning and thunder all around him. Electricity stems from his eyes as he does so. And she just backs away up to the ballista. She bumps into the rest of you guys on it. I mean, you could tell, like, the rest of the crew is all backing off from him. Like, they're completely terrified of him. She points at him. You must wear the mark of such dragon. And she lifts off the ground. And as he sticks out his hand, and when he pulls his hand in towards him, she moves towards him. And you can tell, like, she has no control over her body. She's flailing around in the air, and she's completely terrified.
Everybody's just gonna hear Vesper just be like, "That's so cool."
I should feel filthy to kill him.
I just get down on one knee. I'm like, "My leech."
I mean, she's terrified. Ward, you're up here with Snurks. Snurks behind you. He's shaking.
Oh, come on,
He's got your leg like, oh my God. He's terrified.
Oh, calm down now, little fella.
I mean, this giant is the size of the chieftain, Hill Giant, and it was fat. And this dude is just normally, when you seen it, you would imagine he was this size, but he has shrunk down now. I don't know how you guys are going to react to this, but when he picks her up and she's flailing, and like she grabs her sword, her short sword, as she's coming to him.
Calm down.
You see the rest of the crew do the same thing, like they're about to go that way.
I'm gonna tell the crew to stand down.
I was about to say, I want to
You said this was our ship.
You do that, and you see a lot of confused looks as they look at each other. Delsphine says, "Do as they say." Cloth commands it, and she drops her short sword.
You're not giving. Don't give anyone a reason to bring bad blood.
Is that what you tell her, or you tell
I
him?
tell. No. I'm just saying this out loud, like the crew to her and everything, because the giant came here peacefully.
You say this, and he says, "Wise words, Ward," and he lets her down right in front of the stairs, up to here. And she picks up her sword, and she continues just to back away from him.
I'm gonna just tell everybody to put their weapons away, and I'm gonna put my bow on my back.
And I'm about calling him Jafar. Jafar says, yeah, he's got a snake with a cobra staff and all this other stuff. Yeah, he's got a parrot, sounds like Gilbert Gottfried for some reason.
Awesome.
Yeah, right? But he says that would be wise. And you're looking as you say this, Vesper, and he's got this massive great sword strapped across his back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he could fuck us.
And he says, head southeast.
Southeast,
He says, is this where your cloud giant friend is located at?
Beyond the vast green, over the mountains of gray, is all we were told.
He tells you the Gray Peak Mountains.
Aye.
He says, one of the giant lords lives there, one from the court of King Hikaton. Beware that one.
Aye, not the friendliest of sorts, I take it.
With King Hikaton gone, some lords have acted out on their own. Some are dangerous. They mean doom to the world. Others do seek to stop them. Careful who you trust.
Aye.
He tells you, if you do look for King Hikaton, and he pulls a stone out of his pocket and he hands it to you. He says, please use this. We'll connect you to me.
Stone ascending. No.
That's exactly what it is.
I love that item.
And he hands you one.
I take it.
And
Oh yeah, big thanks. Greatly.
and he pulls the other one, and it's got runes on it. And he says, if you find anything, he says, please contact me.
I will not hesitate.
He tells you, I have searched all through the northeast, to the deserts and the mountains. You need not look for the king there. But if you do, his daughter will reward you gracefully if you do find him.
Aye.
contacted me, and he said, I will bring you to Maelstrom.
Once we set up the cloud giant, I may take you up on that. We have a friend that went to Harsnag.
As you're talking, you can kind of feel your ship start to lift back up, and it's not in your control. As the winds from his storm start to slowly lift you back up.
Storm giants are so badass.
The lightning is all around you, but none comes close to this ship. Has anybody got any questions or what to ask this guy?
Ask him if is he going with us?
He says, no, I have my own
He's looking
ship.
for Incontent.
I know, but I was wondering, like,
If you return to Nostrum and you meet Harsnag, send our greetings to him.
So he says,
Or if you make it somehow to Zephyros' fine palace.
yes, you please tell me of this Harshnag.
He's a frost giant, unlike most others. That, from my recollections, he was virtuous among even what my people call so. Who would put himself in danger for the benefit of others he did not know.
Rowan will speak up and speak of Harshnag's honor, his bravery, and his time at the Golden Fields. Anybody else? Anybody else care to speak up on Harshnag's behalf?
tell him he's fearless. He runs against others that are not.
That is.
That's
He brought
chaos.
us to the Temple of the Allfather. So
He
very
says-
much you.
He says, you've been to the Eye.
Yes.
What did the Eye tell you?
That Harsnag was the fine Hikaton, and that Tiamat is the cause of this.
Of the cult uprising. No.
You see his eyes go wide. You can see fear there. He says,
Well, technically, the Allfather said that
The dragons of
that he did it to shake up.
the
He did the ordering to shake up.
yeah. That the giants has
the
grown
giants,
complacent.
They
and
grown
that
complacent.
He broke the
and-
ordering to.
he says, the Oracle told me such as well, but I did not ask anything remotely of why. It seems all giants I have talked to have received a different answer, as in each has their own part to play.
No. You see, the only reason why we even here to begin with is because we're hunting, I guess I could say, dragons.
He says, a good hunt.
Aye, they destroyed me home.
He says, my apologies.
No needed.
He says, but I do sense that you have grown stronger from such a thing.
I'd like to think so. I would hate to think that all that was a waste.
He looks at you all, come, please tell me everything of the Oracle and what it told you. Leave no thing left behind.
I'll repeat everything we asked, everything we heard. Even tell him of the ghost of the slain cloud giant and how he was slain by his father.
When you say this, you see sadness in his eyes, and he said to desecrate the temple of Anam is a very disgraceful act. He says, I fear any of giant kind who comes across this cloud giant to do such a thing there. He says, if I find him,
His
he
name
says
was Loftus, by the way.
he will face punishment for his crimes.
Oh, we're going after him.
He says he understands that you may slay the giant, but the giant should face the Allfather for punishment.
Aye.
He says, I understand it may be difficult for you small folk to capture, but it would be in your best interest to let him know of the
In the
punishment
back of my
he faces.
mind, I was like, are giants considered humanoids?
He says, I can already tell the Allfather has blessed you guys for doing such a thing.
We didn't expect to put his son to proper burial.
Yeah.
He says, there are strange times we live in. Strange allies. He says the world is in turmoil.
Aye. Dragons coming from the southeast, and who knows what else can be out there.
He says, that is what I fear. He says, I have spied upon beings from the elemental planes in the lands. Says, I have seen frost giant and fire giant conversing. Very strange times.
That is strange.
He says, beware and watch you trust.
You know, Roland out there will kill me if I don't ask you this. We've asked everyone we've met so far. Do you know anything of an ancient mechanical thing involving the fire giant and the big obsidian sword?
He sits and he thinks.
I know your people are the wisest of your kind.
He tells you, long ago, when my kind and the dragons ruled the world, it was not uncommon for fire giants to build such weapons to face our enemies. Perhaps they seek to rebuild one.
This, me guess, a town called Nightstone had the blade of a large weapon.
Yeah.
And he says, tell me more of this blade.
Made of obsidian.
About as big as you, pure obsidian.
His regular size, I'm assuming is what you mean.
I hate to see the dreadnought of Colossus it goes through, to be honest.
He finds this curious, he tells you he will report such a thing back to the court, to the king's daughter.
Honestly, if they're preparing to fight against dragons, it might be a good thing.
He said, or a bad thing.
Or a very bad thing.
He said, if fire giants were to rise to the top of the ordning with such a weapon as the old ones, could spell doom for all of the north.
Aye.
He said, and we, bound by the honor of the ordning, would have to serve such a thing. That's why I cannot express the importance of finding King Higaton, for he can put the giant lords back into their place.
You know, it may be... Can I make a request? It's somewhat small, might be very trifling considering everything going on.
He said, please do.
If you come face to face with the court, ask about the girl that was taken from me home.
He sticks out his hand towards you and he says, may I?
Aye.
He places his hand on your head and you can feel him inside your mind.
Oh, he's going for a trip.
Yeah, and well, no, he's just shuffling through to find the image of the person as you're talking about her. And he said, and he quickly moves his hands. Yes, he says,
everything.
yeah, he says, if I do, I promise you, she will be safe.
Me thanks.
So I'll walk up there and just tell her that, you know, we're known as the Greenfields Company.
Aye. We've been known as the Greenfields Company.
And he says, yes, Greenfields Company.
Yes.
He says, where does your name come from?
That's where we're from. The Greenfields. A ways off from Baldur's Gate. That's what got attacked after all us all together.
He says, has anybody searched these Greenfields for King Higaton?
Not that I'm aware of, not yet.
He says,
We weren't
Chasing
aware of
the
it at the
cult
time.
of the dragons.
And he was hiding there. Where was like, what the
This
hell?
sort of,
he's not aware of the cult of the dragon.
Oh.
He asks you, this cult, says, I will keep eyes out for them. If the Oracle mentioned the mother of dragons, surely they must be behind such a thing.
Yes.
He says, but I cannot see, take no offense, small folk such as yourself overpowering powerful King Higaton by
I
themselves.
don't think it'll be the small folk that do it. I think it's more on the dragons that they serve.
He said, no dragon in Faroon is more powerful than Higaton.
I'm not saying they are.
He says, but there are dragons more ancient than he. Dragons that sleep for centuries. Maybe the cult have awoken these beasts.
Would it be blue, black, and white?
He can't answer that.
I'm just like remembering the caravan scene. Do you want to pop back in there real quick?
Yeah. He can't answer that.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Anybody else? Here's a good time to ask questions. I mean, There's a guy that that's looking for something.
So he knows that this is owned by the dragon that we're just using.
Yeah, he told you he smells a red worm.
Do we need to explain that to him, or?
That is completely.
I already did. I thought I did.
Don't say anything.
I think I'll go.
Oh, I
ahead
didn't say
and
his
go.
name.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and go into detail.
Yeah.
Be like, we were leaving the temple of the Allfather after.
We had just finished the burial.
After
Or
we,
you don't get it going.
yeah, after we just buried him, and Harshnag went to go look for
Maelstrom. You
Hinkington.
want that Maelstrom?
Yeah, he went to Maelstrom, and we were approached by this airship, and they said that it was ours to use because the red dragon, whose name is Cloth, he wants.
You see him scrunch up his face in anger as you say this.
He doesn't want Tiamat to come back because then it would. The way they said that he felt like Tiamat would step on his power.
He tells you.
I don't trust it.
An ancient worm such as Cloth would see the mother of all dragons to intrude his territory. He would not have the renown that he holds now.
Right.
Tells you, but Cloth is ancient. Cloth is powerful. He has slain many of giant kind.
But obviously we didn't feel that we could probably take him, so we accepted his offer as to not to offend him in his homeland.
He said it is wise to use the gift of Cloth, as more than likely Cloth would use you all. He says, but I warn you, not all giant kind are as friendly as I.
I understand.
Oh yeah.
He says, if not for the elves insignia of Torm, he's like, I would have struck your ship down myself.
Well, we're glad you didn't.
He said, myself too. He says, but I warn you, the area you're heading, there will be eyes on your ship. He said they will not be friendly.
So should we get off as soon as we can?
He says that is a decision you need to make yourselves.
I kind of think we should. Plus, I don't feel comfortable up here, to be honest.
He says, time is of importance, and I do understand this vessel moves you quickly. But to ally yourself with a giant kind, as I assume you have done, he said, not all giants will take kind to the smell of an ancient red worm.
Told you should have got no one. I'm just saying.
Well,
I've already copied all the schematics.
maybe,
later.
is there any way you can get us there faster? Perhaps?
But he has his own mission to go.
He has his own
His
mission.
own mission.
This is his utmost mission.
Right.
He says, I can have the storm guide you there quicker. He said, but within a day or two, the storm would die off.
Well, any help would be greatly appreciated.
He says, if you are to help me, he said, I have no problem helping you.
Yeah.
He said, as I said, you search for King Hekaton. This Harshnag searches for the king. He says, you can count on me as an ally.
And I'll fist bump.
He looks at you strange.
It's like a handshake. Just,
You tried this already?
You say that?
yeah.
He says, my hand would crush yours.
Well, just
No,
like
no,
it's just a bump.
Boom.
Like,
Yes.
just-
You see his finger, that'll work.
I'll fist bump for it.
He goes to fist bump you.
I kind of go back there.
Roll me a strength check.
Knock me on my ass.
Take 6d12 damage. What?
Yeah.
18.
You stumble down a couple stairs and you're holding
Yeah.
onto the rail, and he has a good laugh. He says, maybe not such a greeting is a good idea. Your arm hurts all the way up to your shoulder.
I'll kind of laugh while I'm kind of like doing my arm, you know, and be like,
Yes.
See him around?
maybe not.
He tells you, I must be gone. I bid you farewell, and may the storm guide you to safety. As he does, thunder echoes loudly around you. A flash of lightning, he disappears. And a couple hundred feet from you, you see him again on this massive eagle.
Once again, Vesper's just gonna be like, that's so cool. She's rubbing her arm.
And he heads off toward the direction you guys had just come from.
I'm gonna look at Delphine and be like, well, at least we're alive now.
She tells you, there are many times I thought I would die here, and I've been surprised at what I have met, what I've been through. She tells you at this time she doesn't fear death.
We have a way of
Same
doing
here.
that in this group. Michelle almost died.
So, you've met this Jofnar now, and you do realize that there are other giants out there searching for this king. Is your next course of action still to head towards the southeast, or are you going to continue to stay on the ship? What are you doing?
We don't know anything else to do right now.
Well,
We're going.
he gave us this storm to push us, right, to get us
Yeah.
traveling faster.
Mhm.
So let's ride this out and take this,
Yeah.
and then once we get over the Trollmore's, right, maybe we can get on foot after that. So
Well,
the Giants do not
Sounds
trust
like a good
us.
plan.
How far away is it on foot?
Well, you're at the Trollmoors. You still have the massive expanse of the High Forest.
Okay.
The High Forest is pretty thick.
Let's go ahead and use the ship then, and then once we get closer to town, we'll get off.
Yeah.
Once we get
Okay.
closer to the Great
Maybe like
Mountain.
4 or 5 days away, we'll get off and hike it.
If you'll give me just a moment, I'll measure this out for you.
Okay.
Is there a city near the High Forest as well?
High Forest is all Elven domain. Do you know anything of the High Forest?
I know things about elves. They're slutty as shit.
None of the elves are from there. Now, I would assume we've talked about it. Your
Yeah.
family knows of the High Forest. That's originally where they're
Yeah.
from. They're from Silver Moon, which is north of the High
They know what the
So they
High
know the
Forest
High
is.
Forest. Let's see. I want to say here right outside Nesme.
What kind of elves are in the High Forest?
Ones with pointy ears.
Hey.
Are they wild?
What is that, High
elves?
Forest? If my parents are from there, it's more wealthy.
Like high elves?
No.
Silver
Wood
Moon?
elves, wild
Wait.
No,
My High Forest,
actually-
Silver Moon, where they're from, that is
Yes,
wild.
yeah, that's
They're-
wild.
Ward's all about going to Silver Moon. He's always wanted to go there, literally.
Yeah, but
Well,
where we're
Silver
going
Moon
at, the
actually
High
is to your
Forest
west from where you're at.
is
right now.
barbaric type elves and stuff.
Okay, right now you're about 500 miles from your destination,
All right.
and you're in the air, so
How far?
about 500 miles.
500 miles?
Yeah,
Yeah, let's go ahead and ride this out for a bit.
I mean if you come across, literally the High Forest in the direction you're going. If you're to go on foot, that expanse itself is almost 200, so it's almost half your trip just cutting through there.
Yeah, let's just do that at least, you know. But then when we get closer to town, we'll hike it into town. We won't take
Yeah.
the ship.
Okay, so exactly how far are you going to take the ship? Okay,
About how long?
with Delphine, you go back to the hold to look at this map.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay? Guess what? I'm on camera.
Fancy.
Fancy, right? Here you go. So you guys are about right here is where I'm measuring you at. First place you were going to go to was Orbar, because you're talking about going to Parnas. So you're here.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's your expense on foot if that's the trip you're wanting to take, which is about roughly 300 miles maybe.
Can we take the ship to the edge of the forest and walk the rest of the
So
way?
that's up to you guys.
Which edge?
Like right up in here.
Yeah, let me see.
And there's a
I
road
kind of
there.
feel that we should actually go down to avoid giants, like seeing the ship, like we just did. If we just go down to here to like one of these towns, like let's say Lone Water, no, not Lone Water. For a second, that's the land.
Do we know where they
Well, we don't know which town that he's in.
No, if we just come down to like Lone Water, just to like get off the ship there, and then we go up this way without like going like more of a circular route to avoid distressing other giants with the smell of the red worm.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that might be our safest bet,
It's all up to you guys.
because that will also keep us out of the forest from invading into other domains, because Ord knows they're all slutty.
Okay, everybody roll
You
me
enjoy that?
history knowledge.
Dude,
At least 15s.
I only got like 9.
I got a 14.
Come on, Ludo, what do you got? It's all on you. No,
We know
No.
nothing.
nothing. You just know the High Forest is full of elves.
Just call us all Jon Snow.
So, your plan is to go down, instead of taking the direct path you're going, kind of go straight south.
Yeah.
You want to go to where?
Loudwater.
Loudwater.
A good bit, just like because it's the distance away.
Okay. And then from there, you're going to take the rest of the trip on foot, correct?
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
that's more respectful to giants not to come in with a dragon staking ship, in order to also be making plans to build his own later.
All right. So, what are you going to do with the ship afterwards?
I guess we'll release them and thank them for their time.
So you're just going to send them upon their merry
I mean,
way?
I could say that we can send them back to Waterdeep or just stay here and wait for us.
They can wait.
They can wait for us if they
They will
want.
never come back.
Well,
How long do we have the ship for? Just indefinitely?
It's ours. Did that what he said? It was a gift?
it is a gift.
It is a gift, but I mean, technically he still owns it. He's just allowing us to use it how we see fit.
Okay,
Tell them
so
to stay put.
you guys are going to go hit all them towns, Orbar, Lapore, Harnest,
Yeah.
right? That was your plan? So on foot, you're looking at a trip that's over 200 miles.
Okay.
Well, we'll be on foot from Orbar anyways, either way.
Can we get
Or from Loudwater.
Can we get horses?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about if we took the ship to Orbar, we'd still be on foot from Orbar.
Well, we can get horses and we won't be on foot.
Yeah.
And you can ride Ruber if you don't want that horse. But then Roland's got his mount.
That's very true. So there's only 2 mounts that'd be needed, really.
Yeah, we got 2
I
horses.
mean, you and Norvusier double saddle up.
I got
if you want
Snurr.
We'll probably just get 3 horses if we can find
Oh,
them.
that's fine.
I
mean, we
have what
got-
looks
I mean-
like a car seat on Rupert now.
That's what I imagine. Like you're almost like up to like your belly and sitting there, and like you got your
you know
good,
that
like it's a
thing
turret,
that
you know.
he did with the Han? Yeah, I have one of those for Snurt on my back.
He just rides like Yoda.
Yeah. All right. So you're going to go to Loudwater, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you need to do anything as you fly over the high forest?
Not anything that I know for a fact I can do. Teach Snurt. I want to talk to Josephine. I want to know why she's serving and that what led her to this point in her life.
No, I mean, it's a good life.
Yeah, I mean.
She doesn't have nothing to worry about. Cloth crushes all of his enemies. If they're her enemies, then they're enemies of Cloth. Everybody's scared of a giant ancient red dragon. That's,
Holy shit, she didn't tell me that.
I mean, who has enemies when your boss is an ancient red dragon that's
I
like
do.
millennia old?
Man, so that could be
If
like.
she does say that, I'm
So
like,
when
you
she
could've
says that's
died
her
right
reasoning,
there.
or is like
The
she's
storm dragon could have killed her.
No, that's her thing. You know, she was brought to the servitude of Cloth,
Yeah.
and he doesn't treat them bad. He almost stays to himself.
So,
And they just say if he has something, you know, his will's, you know, their command, it's all his.
so do you think that Cloth would help me take out the Zentarum?
Maybe. But the thing is, what are you gonna do for Cloth? I
Give
mean,
him a blowjob.
that's nothing to do with you. That's the ongoing joke. The thing was, I didn't even gonna make that joke. Here's the thing. I mean, if you wanted to go talk to Cloth, I'm not stopping you at all. But here's the thing. I mean, who says he doesn't have? I mean, he might not have beef with the Zen.
Right,
I mean, but the thing is, I mean-
our Cloth's enemies.
I mean, if you ask her this, she's not stupid, she knows who the Zen is. She knows Cloth knows all.
Right.
And the thing is, you know, for such a big task, in return, you need something of equal value to Cloth. And what can you offer to Cloth when Cloth owns everything? You know, I mean, think about it. When you got on the ship, she went, you know, all this is Cloth's domain. You know, she just like basically pointed.
I just kind of hollered down from where I'm at on the wheel, and he doesn't have a giant little bear, does he?
Be like, well, I could, you know, if I think it over, maybe like, if he helped me take out the Zent completely, we could erase them, and then we could start our own black network, and then, you know.
That's what stop scheming.
And that's just something, if you want to go talk to Cloth, you'll have to do.
Be like, we could start our own little
Well, no point at all.
thing, and, you know, make some money.
She
for
tells you Cloth has his own spies.
I know, but we can make like our own Zentarum, but wouldn't be the Zentarum because we wouldn't enslave people.
She told you Cloth has eyes everywhere. So, I mean, but if you want, I'm not stopping you. If you decide you want to, hey, let's turn this thing around, let's go talk to Cloth.
I'm on the
asking some
wheel,
stuff, I'm not
fuck
stopping
that.
you.
Turn this motherfucker around.
I will drop you back off in the bottom again. I swear to God.
So, all right. But all that aside, if you want to do that, you just let me know.
Okay, maybe later. No, right now.
I'm not stopping you. So you're going to fly over the high forest. And then you're going to drop the ship at Loudwater.
Yeah, and tell them to wait for us, and we're never coming back.
Okay. and then you're going to try to get horses from Loudwater.
Yeah.
And you got to hold Loudwater as a actual civilization. It was just a spot on the map.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but she's got it marked down as a town.
Yeah.
So you gotta hope you can get some horses, and then you're gonna take
We just
horses
need two.
to all the towns. They're going three.
Three.
So you're gonna take these horses and start traveling to all these towns you're wanting to go to, correct?
No.
All right.